Where is it? Richard Hale's voice thundered, silencing the laughter and music in an instant. Every head in the glittering ballroom turned toward him, their champagne flutes trembling midair. His jaw was clenched tight, his black tuxedo flawless, but his eyes burned with fury. "The necklace," he growled. "My wife's diamond necklace. It's gone." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Guests clutched pearls and murmured, panic spreading as if the loss of $500,000 worth of jewels threatened their own throats. Then Richard's gaze fixed on her. Grace Miller stood near the drinks table, a tray trembling in her hands. Her starched maid's uniform was spotless, her head bowed, her face pale. She didn't have to hear his next words to know. "You," Richard barked, pointing an accusing finger. "Step forward." The tray clattered as she set it down with shaking fingers. She obeyed, swallowing the lump in her throat, her eyes already stinging. "Mr. Hale, please," she whispered. "I would never." "Don't you dare play innocent," he cut her off, his voice booming against marble walls. "You were near my wife's room. You had the chance. Do you think I wouldn't notice?" Grace shook her head desperately, tears spilling over. "Sir, I swear on my children, I didn't take anything. I've never stolen a thing in my life." "Lies," he roared, and the words sliced her like a whip. Guests flinched. Some nodded along. Others looked away, unwilling to meet her eyes. Richard sneered, his lip curling. "You see diamonds, and your greedy little fingers can't resist. Guards, search her room. Tear it apart. I want proof." "No." Grace's voice cracked. She fell to her knees on the polished floor, her hands clasped in a desperate plea. "Please, don't. I've done nothing. My children's letters, my only clothes, everything will be destroyed. Please believe me." "Pathetic," Richard spat, his hand slicing the air. "Every thief cries until they're caught." The guards moved closer. Grace sobbed, trembling, her palms pressed together. The guests whispered, cruel words slipping like knives. "I always suspected, they're all the same." "Stop." The word rang out, high but steady, slicing the murmurs like glass shattering. Every head turned. Lily Hale, Richard's little girl, stepped forward from the edge of the crowd. She wore a scarlet dress that glowed under the chandelier, her small fists clenched, her chin lifted. Her voice didn't shake. She didn't steal it. The room fell silent. Grace froze, wide-eyed. Richard's face hardened, his pride cracking beneath disbelief. "Lily," he said, his tone sharp. "You don't know what you're saying." But his daughter stood firm. "Yes, I do. I saw who took it." Gasps rippled. Guests leaned forward, hungry for scandal. Richard's chest heaved. "Careful, young lady. This is not a game." Lily raised her hand, pointing, not at Grace, but across the ballroom. Her finger was steady, unwavering. It was her. All eyes followed her gaze. Victoria Langston, draped in a sleek navy gown, froze mid-breath. The jewels at her throat glittered, but her face drained of color. "That's absurd," Victoria snapped, clutching her clutch bag tight. Her voice cracked at the edges. "She's just a child. She doesn't know what she saw." But Lily's voice carried like thunder. "I watched you. You went into Mommy's room. You pretended to fix your hair, but you took the necklace. You put it in your bag. I didn't say anything because I thought maybe I was wrong. But when Daddy accused her," Lily's voice caught, her eyes filling, "I knew I wasn't." The crowd erupted, gasps and whispers crashing like waves. Grace's sob turned into a choked cry of relief. Richard's face went pale, shame tightening around his throat. Victoria's clutch slipped from her hand, hitting the marble with a dull thud. The clasp burst open, and out slid the necklace, diamonds glittering under the chandelier's blaze. The ballroom exploded in outrage. Richard stood frozen, humiliated, his power stripped bare in front of every guest. His daughter's eyes, clear, fearless, unforgiving, burned into his soul, and for the first time in his life, Richard Hale felt smaller than the smallest servant in his house. Grace bowed her head, tears streaming, not of shame now, but of vindication. And Richard Hale, billionaire and master of the city, drowned silently in his own disgrace. "No, Daddy." Lily's words cut through the air like a blade. Her small voice carried more weight than the chandeliers above them. "She's a thief. And you believed a thief over the woman who takes care of me every single day." Richard Hale froze. The crowd gasped, eyes swinging from him to the child standing tall in her scarlet dress. "She's the one who wakes me up for school," Lily's voice shook but grew louder, steadier. The one who holds me when I cry. She makes sure I eat when you're too busy shouting into the phone. She's here when mommy isn't. She has never stolen anything. Not from you. Not from anyone. And you humiliated her. Grace Miller sobbed into her hands, her body shaking under the weight of humiliation and relief colliding at once. Search her bag, Lily shouted, her small hand trembling as she pointed toward Victoria Langston. The ballroom roared with whispers. Richard's jaw tightened, fury and shame fighting for control in his chest. He gave a sharp nod. Do it. Victoria's painted smile collapsed. She clutched her purse, her voice sharp and panicked. This is absurd. You'll regret this insult. But the guards closed in. They yanked the bag from her grip. The crowd leaned forward as one guard reached inside. A velvet case emerged, black against his white gloves. He snapped it open. Diamonds glittered like fire beneath the chandelier. The room erupted in a unified gasp. Victoria's face drained of color. Her voice cracked. I was only holding it. I meant to return. Enough. Richard's roar shook the crystal glasses on the table. He turned on her, his fury blazing. But the crowd wasn't watching Victoria anymore. They were watching him, the billionaire who had just dragged an innocent woman through the dirt in front of them all. Lily bent down, her small hand wrapping around Grace's trembling fingers. She tugged gently, helping her rise. Grace's knees buckled, but she leaned against the little girl's strength. You should have trusted her, Lily said, her voice soft but searing. Her eyes locked on her father. You should have trusted the woman who loves me like her own child. Instead, you believed the worst. Richard's chest rose and fell, his pride collapsing under the weight of his daughter's truth. His eyes darted between Victoria's pale face, the sea of whispering guests, and the maid still crying at his feet. Finally, his shoulders sagged. His voice cracked. I was wrong. Grace, forgive me. But Grace shook her head, tears streaking her cheeks. You can't take back what you said, sir. You accused me before all of them. You looked at me like I was filth. Do you know what that feels like? Her sobs filled the silence. I scrub your floors, iron your shirts, care for your daughter. And still, you saw a thief. The murmurs shifted, sympathy drifting away from Richard and circling around Grace instead. Lily squeezed Grace's hand tighter, her chin lifting. She's not a thief. She's my family. And I won't let anyone hurt her again. Not even you, Daddy. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, some guests even applauding softly. Richard staggered as if the weight of his own wealth crushed him. His empire meant nothing under the eyes of his child and the judgment of his peers. For the first time, he bowed his head. For the first time, Richard Hale was small. Grace wept openly as Lily wrapped her arms around her waist, holding her with a fierce protectiveness far beyond her years. You're safe, Lily whispered. I promise. And as diamonds glittered in the guard's hand and the chandeliers blazed above them, the crowd saw not the billionaire's power, but the courage of a child who spoke when no one else dared.